So again, if you're new here, um, our first thing is that we are here as community, and we've been now really 5 years, like this month, 5 years that we've been gathering every week in the distance Reiki share. And so it's always so good to be here and be in community. It is a really big global community. We are from all over the world and different time zones, and thank you everybody for being here late. And then also, the next thing is that we really feel like we can help contribute wellness by just sharing how we use Reiki and the different reasons that it works and why it works. And then we go on journeys so that we can let go of the things we need to release. Reiki always heals whatever we release. And that is a really big piece of how Reiki works as an actual healing energy. So, there are many different types of energies that we connect to and many different techniques in how we connect to them. And so that is a big piece to understand about Reiki. When you release what you're letting go of with Reiki energy, the energy is actually the frequency and power of love and the authority of compassion. So it carries what you let go of into the light. And because of that love and that compassion, it also heals what you release. And that's a big piece to understand because so often the things that we let go of that are coming up in our lives or have been there for a long time or are there just because of this morning or any of the above, those things, the Reiki energy just helps us let go of them. And as they go into the light, it goes all the way back to the original cause. Because so often the things we are letting go of have really that the energy of them has its own history. So let's say something happened to you that was caused by something else. There is typically a history that goes with that because, it started here, then goes back. And so and of just the energy itself. And so Reiki actually goes back and heals it all the way back to the original cause. Where did it originate? Sometimes it's culturally created self, things that, have occurred in this lifetime because of all of your personal circumstances. Um, Sometimes it's other lifetimes, sometimes it's DNA, ancestral, all of those things. But when we release using the Reiki energy, which is a healing energy, it comes in, lifts it from us, and carries it into the light where it can be healed. So I don't know what I was saying after that. So, Robin, do you want to jump in at all?
No, I think it's good to just go ahead and go into our continued topic.
Okay. So I think where I started with all of that was talking about the format that we do here. So when we do the journey, there is the opportunity to let go of those things that I just gave a big long explanation for. We also then go to the next step of bringing in. So letting that Reiki energy come in, fill us back up, heal the places where the releases occurred if there's cords and connectors and attachments to them. Reiki actually dissolves it. So it's like the light comes in and the light is just this energy that comes in and dissolves those attachments. So then you go to the next place of bringing in, and the Reiki energy now fills you back up. As it's filling you back up, it's also revealing to you what is the truth inside of you, your deeper part of your soul, your soul's knowledge, your your heart's knowledge, your head's knowledge. It wakes up your gifts, your talents, and it highlights them for you. And so through that bringing in, it fills us back up with that pure life force energy, the vitality of it for whatever circumstance you are in right now, so that you can have that life force within you to either manage something that is very challenging to manage, or to innovate something you want to create, to move into manifestation. Sometimes it's a daily, like, okay, today just clear my mind. I have brain fog and I have things I need to get done. It could be a lightweight type of a thing. What fun thing do I want to do first? Kind of an idea. But it also can go in and go into the real depth of helping you to sort through everything. It helps you put things into perspective, and it more than anything gives you the ability to hear yourself. So, today's topic that we are going to also journey on, and it seems like we've been going through this topic for a while, but it's true because the topic is why Reiki is the spiritual practice for our time. Like right now, why is Reiki so very beneficial as a style of practice and as a spiritual practice? So if you're new to Reiki, the the first thing that I would say with why Reiki is a beneficial spiritual practice is because there's no required belief system. Reiki absolutely meets you where you are. And I read a term this morning I went, oh, I love this term, spiritual rhythm. Like it meets your spiritual rhythm. Like how deep do you want to go? Because there are different cycles that we can be in about the depth of our practice. I had a client yesterday that we were talking, and he just said, I just don't have time or am not connected to like doing really deep spiritual practices right now because the cycle he's in, his spiritual practice is the functionality of his job and work and getting things done. And so oftentimes I think what happens is that we can feel as if we need to be doing our spiritual practice and that it's different than our daily life practices and needs. They're the same. They're the same. So we have different cycles. And I love that term spiritual rhythm because the energy of Reiki works with you where you are, and there's no judgment around it. In fact, if anything, it helps clear that judgment, the self-judgment you might have about the shoulds, the things that you need to do in order to deserve a spirituality or be connected or to let go or to bring in all of those things. So Reiki works on a physical level. If you are addressing your physical level, oftentimes there is a spiritual component to physical injury. You can be experiencing, heartbreak, and it shows up in your knees. So the physicality of it the Reiki heals the symptoms of the injury, but it also goes to that part of you that needs that spiritual healing or the emotional healing or the mental healing. And so it works with you physically, and that is in the healing sensation of it or the healing effects of it, but it also is empowering physically too. So let's say you are in a place of really thriving physically, and that your physical body, you have energy, you are wanting to be physical and be active physically. Or maybe that is you're really active mentally. So, like right now, I am more active mentally because I'm doing a lot of writing than physically, but it's that vitality. I have that physical vitality to do it. So that's what I mean by the mental then usage is still a physical aspect. And so Reiki, the way the energy works is it simply works through intention, invitation, receiving. When you're having a hard time with it all, you truly can just take a moment, breathe deeply. Even if you can, place your hand on your heart and let the energy flow. And then if you need to keep moving, you need to keep doing what you're doing. You just keep moving and doing what you're doing and let it integrate in that way. Other times, full Reiki sessions are like the effects of them are so long lasting. Like they really shift your perspectives, and they bring in this new level of stress reduction because it can take you to a really deep place physically, can drop your mental busyness into what we call the gap, where you're not awake, you're not asleep, you're just in that like physical or mental rest. A lot of times, by the way, some of you experience that in the journeys and think of it as, oh, I missed the journey because I was in the gap. But think about being in the gap, complete mental rest. That is such a nice place to be. People meditate for years to be able to get there, and Reiki can take you there. And oftentimes you want it to take you somewhere else, and it takes you into the gap. So, but commonly people will make that comment of like, oh, I missed the journey because I was in the gap, or maybe even you fell asleep. That happens too. Reiki can help you fall asleep. Talk about symptoms. Can help with that. When I have worked with people with physical illness and, before the pandemic, volunteered at the in cancer clinics. And a lot of times what people reported was just simply alleviating the stress and alleviating the pain, and oftentimes promoting things like better sleep, and how important that is when that is what you really need is a good sleep. So, I talked a little bit about Reiki working with you mentally also, and this is all with a spiritual bent. So, as we're talking about how it does these different things, the mental aspect of it is connecting you into your higher thought, your higher consciousness, and your ability to access it. That is a big piece of it, because in our mental state, a lot of times, particularly right now, things are very chaotic. For those of you that are really empathic, those of us that are really empathic, noticing the mental strain from the collective stress that there is right now. And you can be picking up on other people's, the collective energy of stress. So Reiki energy, because the nature and the frequency of the energy is only enlightened energy. It doesn't have the duality of the earth. So the duality of the earth would be, the awareness that we have love and hate. We have joy and grief. We have triumph and tragedy. So all of those things go, side by side. Everything has the levels of frequencies. Reiki energy does not have duality. It is a non-dual energy. So when you're working with the energy, it's always coming in at this higher frequency, which activates your higher frequency because it's what you are made of, life force energy. And it gives you access to your higher thought, your higher consciousness, and it does it through your perspective, your belief system, how things make sense to you, what you need to be thinking about. And it meets you in your place and then entrains you into the higher functionality, the higher perspective, because the energy itself activates your higher perspective. Physically, and the spiritual aspect of it is it connects your whole body, your higher mind, your head brain, heart brain, gut brain, and connects your whole ability to think clearly by connecting all your whole systems, and then aligns you with the earth and the wisdom and the higher thought and higher consciousness frequencies, because your empathy can be used in the higher frequencies as well as the collective stress. You can consciously invite your empathy to move out of these lower bands of stress energy and into the higher bands of higher frequency energies. And most importantly, that ends up applied in your daily life. It ends up applying to your functionality. So it heals mental trauma. Reiki can heal the spiritual injuries that you may have experienced in this life. Again, sometimes it's other lifetimes. Sometimes it's DNA. Sometimes it's not a soul's memory. Sometimes it's even because of the DNA in the body that your soul incarnated into, the lineage that you're in. So it empowers your higher thought as well as heals the injuries to your higher thought. And it heals those gently. So here's the next piece of it. And again, the spiritual nature of the energy itself in healing what you let go of is that it does all of this through receiving it. You don't have to earn it. You don't even have to deserve it. Ooh, that felt crummy, even saying those words like that. It's like, ew. I feel like I want to, take it and go, okay, Reiki, take that, whatever that just was. Um, and it does all of the same thing for you emotionally, It really balances your emotion. We work a lot with the tree of life energy, and that feels like, to me, it's always a balance, like the trees, the branches reaching to the heavens, and it's all balanced, and the roots are balanced underneath, and the core and the center, and it aligns, the energy aligns and balances your emotions. Doesn't mean that it's always easy. So I think that's important to be clear about, but it just is easier. I think so commonly we share among each other, we'll say like, I don't know how people do it without Reiki. Like seriously, it's it just made such a difference. But the other thing that I want to talk about with Reiki that, we're always respectful and try to be careful with this, but the other thing to really think about why Reiki is like the spiritual practice of our times is also because many people are struggling with their religions. And many of the religions actually have this same kind of a connection, this same kind of a healing modalities and healing paths. And so, it's not separate from religion. Actually, Reiki really enhances religious beliefs and elevates them into a higher perspective and creates your perspective with it. But I do say that I think a lot of people that come into these communities are looking for new ways to develop your own personal spirituality. Reiki is really also very mystical. It creates a mystical connection. So whether that mystical connection comes in a religious practice that you have or a religion that you practice, Reiki will take it to that mystical side. It's going to take it into the deeper levels of the soul in those practices. So it can really deepen people's prayers. It can deepen their connection to their religion. But more than anything, what I think it does is that it takes you to your own inner truth within whatever belief system or whatever practices you decide to engage in. It's going to take you, the Reiki energy really helps you access what is true for you. For a lot of people that have left traditional religions, have gone through even painful experiences with that, Reiki can often really bring in the spiritual healing from any kind of religious trauma that you may have. The spiritual healing, it comes in and really it recenters, it reconnects you with you into the depth of you. It brings you home to you. And it can heal the wounds that you might have experienced. It can heal the injuries that you might have experienced from particular belief systems that you have had. And you might even be questioning those right now. You might be in that place of, unlearning or questioning. Also, having a healthy skepticism. We talked about that yesterday on our podcast with Yolanda. And, that it's important to have healthy skepticism. Like you should be observing it. You should be looking at things. What happens with Reiki energy is it brings you into, it moves you from skepticism into discernment. And the discernment energy really helps you assess what is true for you spiritually. What 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 did you bring with you into this life? What is your soul's knowledge? What's your consciousness from, the infinite journey of the soul? And here you find yourself on the earth right now in this place of duality, in a body that holds duality. Because of that duality, the part of you that is the purity of your spirit is also here. As a practitioner, teacher, and personally, in my own personal journey, I would say that the most significant injury to people spiritually is the belief that we are separate, that the separation is, well, we teach it in animal Reiki because one of the injuries that we find with human with us in that how we work with it there is the belief that we are have dominion over the earth, and the way that has been interpreted is domination. And so what I was shown with that and what we have experienced with it is that that has created an experience of feeling separate from the animals, like that we are suddenly different than the earth, or we are not a natural part of the earth. And we belong on the earth. We're here. We are made of the earth. The earth created our body. Our body is actually physically from the earth. So the energy of Reiki comes in and heals that belief and brings us back to our natural self. Our human nature, we're here to be in human nature. And human nature is beautiful. People love greatly all over the world, everybody. They just love greatly. And bringing us back to that perception of each other and our own self. That was a big one for me, healing myself with that I belong here. I'm meant to be here. My soul knew it was going to come and be human, at least at some point. You know, I ended up knowing, okay, it looks like I'm going to be human. Um, so that is one of the big injuries. The other injury I see to the self is the belief that we are separate from ourself. And one of the religious teachings around that has been that we are born with original sin. And I'm even uncomfortable saying it because I know it's such a powerful part of some people's belief system, and I don't want to be disrespectful with it. But at the same time, honestly, almost 30 years of doing this work and working in the healing energy, fields all these years, that belief is such a wounding that you're born a sinner, that, being raised with that belief system. You think about, well, if you take a 3-year-old and you teach them that they are absolute love, or you teach them that they are sin, I kind of look at it and think, well, that's a no-brainer to me. I know I want to teach that child they are love all the way through their life, even through all of the human nature experiences that we do and say and be, because we're still going to be human. So I've seen Reiki heal those things and heal our spiritual injury. Those are just 2 examples of different reasons that we have been spiritually injured. And so Reiki comes in and it heals it But then the biggest piece of it is it reveals our inner truth to us so we can now perceive from that place. We can perceive from that higher consciousness. We can perceive with an inner knowing of our soul's awareness, of our personality depth, our human nature that we really are, even through all of the humaning things that we do and are. So I believe that's why Reiki is the spiritual practice for our time. It's easy to learn. Anyone can learn it. And I think it's trying to teach us that. It's like trying to move us out of it has to be hard. It's like, no, it doesn't. Which has been like my total unlearning of my journey with this is, I definitely was both raised my culturally created self and also my personal belief system that, I have to work hard. And if I want it, it's going to be hard work. So that has been an immediate, that was an immediate start of my healing path with Journey. And it is still something that is an ongoing inner growth development. So anyway, I want to have time for the journey because it's a really good journey. There's a lot of good questions in it. Um, I think I want to say a few more things about why I think Reiki is so beneficial. And for those of you that are new, and of course, those of you that have been doing it for a long time, you know this already. Reiki brings you to a direct personal experience, connects you to your higher consciousness, your higher thought. Reiki connects you to your authentic self. And to be able to not just be connected to it, but to experience yourself that way, to know it within you. I ask myself that question all the time. Well, what is my authentic self anyway? What does that even mean? And so I get to have new answers because I ask that question all the time and new experiences of it. Connects you to your authentic intellect, your higher thought, your spiritual intelligence, your emotional intelligence, human intelligence. And it's self-directed because Reiki meets you in your own spiritual rhythm. How's it working for you in the cycle of life that you're in right now? I'm in a cycle right now where I get to spend hours in Reiki, and I love that. But I've been in other cycles where it had to be on the fly. And it brings you connection without dogma. Heals religious trauma, brings you into your own framework so you can determine what you believe and that it integrates into your daily life. That's the most important thing to me because I want my spiritual connection to be about my daily life. I want it to enhance it and to be integrated. They're not one thing and then the other. It's, just operating. And then the other piece that I think is really important, and this is the final thing I want to talk about, is reclaiming your own spiritual authority. What is your truth? What is your spiritual authority? And how does, how do you get to have that internal knowing of what your spiritual authority is and your wisdom that you have and that you actually can hear within yourself and know about you?